Good afternoon. This is Ken Kirschenbaum. Thanks for attending our webinar today. I hope you can all hear me. If you can't, send me a little note on your question option, and we'll see if I can correct it. So today we have what has turned out to be a popular program, which is Quickbooks. Apparently, the most popular form of office accounting for all kinds of industries, and it's been adopted by the alarm industry and adapted in many ways with add-ons, which is what one of our presenters specializes in, the Scott Taylor from Pfisoft. We'll be hearing from him later, and he has his own presentation of how to accomplish some of that. But we're going to start the presentation with Skye Bank Financial, which is really sponsoring the webinar in a way because they work closely with Pfisoft, integrating your QuickBook operation with your credit card processing operation. Some of you may know that Tom Aronica with Skye Bank Financial is on the Alarm Exchange and developed a little niche here in the alarm industry, primarily thanks to me. And he's gotten an awful lot of alarm companies processing the credit cards. I can endorse them because I just switched my own office over a couple of weeks ago, and it was a smooth transition, and I guess we're saving money and things are getting processed a lot faster than usual. At any rate, I'm going to be turning this over to Tom in just a moment. We're going to hear from Scott Taylor after Tom, and he's going to give you his own presentation on QuickBooks. And then Mitch Reitman, well-known accountant, broker, business consultant in the alarm industry, is also with us, and he's going to give you his experience with QuickBooks as well, because he is an accountant for many alarm companies and is well acquainted with QuickBooks. So I'm going to just switch screens here for a second and get ready to turn this over to Tom, who I hope is ready to go. Tom, are you there? Tom? Well, I certainly can't do his presentation, so I hope he's going to show up sooner or later. You want to give Tom a call? Technical difficulties. Please bear with us a moment. Well, if Tom doesn't show up, I'm going to move this over to Scott. Scott, I've unmuted you. Are you ready to present? Scott?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you fine, and I'm going to turn this over to you because I don't know what happened to Tom, but we'll give him a shot after you're done.
Okay. That would be great. Yeah, if you can just show my screen, we'll go ahead and get started with our portion of the presentation.
Okay, good. So let me just have.
We unmuted you here.
Tell Tom he lost his spot.
Tom, I think you lost your spot.
Is he actually ready to go now?
He's here, but yeah, I could hear you. I don't know why I can't hear you either. We unmuted you. It says that you're unattentive on our end.
Scott, just 1 second. Let's see if Tom can rehabilitate himself here.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay.
Tom, you're unmuted. You should be able to speak.
You should be able to speak, Tom.
Well, okay. Scott, we're going to turn this over to you now.
Well.
Perfect.
Eileen, fix this. Let's turn it over to Scott.
All right. Wait a second.
Let's go. Turn it over to Scott.
Okay, we're going to turn it over to Scott now.
Okay, Eileen, if you can just allow them to see my screen.
Yeah, just 1 second, Scott. This is the first time we're doing that, so we're going to
No, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let go.
take presenter. Change screens. Okay. Change screen.
Okay.
Click it.
Okay.
You got
Very
it
good.
up? You good?
All right, can everybody see my screen? It has our web page up. Eileen, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, you're good. Go ahead.
Perfect. Very good. Well, Ken, thank you very much for the opportunity to come in and talk to your group today. I appreciate the time that you've given us. My name is Scott Taylor. I'm with Pfisoft. Our company specializes in QuickBooks accounting software and integrated solutions for QuickBooks. So what I have up on the screen right now is our website. Just to give you a little bit of background about our company and what we do. Our practice is QuickBooks-centric, so everything we do revolves around QuickBooks. That's the accounting software that we specialize in. You'll actually notice down here at the bottom of the page that our company carries all the highest level QuickBooks certifications. And I actually have Annette from our office also on the presentation with us today, who does most of our technical consulting for the accounting software itself. One of the things that our company has done over the years is, in addition to working just with the QuickBooks accounting software, is we've received a lot of feedback from companies that use QuickBooks about things that they would like to have improved about QuickBooks or about functionality that they'd like to have added. So over the years, we actually took that feedback and started developing our own line of integrated solutions, and that's really what we're going to be talking about specifically today is one solution in particular. It's our Merchant Edition software. And just to kind of give you a brief overview before we get into the demo, the concept of the Merchant Edition software is to allow you to work seamlessly with credit card processing for both individual payment transactions and also recurring payment transactions. And we do that in conjunction with Skye Bank. So Tom hopefully will have his technical issue resolved here where he can come on after and tell you about his program. But again, the concept is we're going to allow you to have seamless real-time integration with credit card processing through Skye Bank, so that from your perspective as a business owner, you can streamline your operations. You don't have to go to outside applications. You don't have to do redundant things like re-entering data or transactions. It's all going to happen in real time. So what we're going to do now is just move over into the actual demonstration itself. And we're going to go through and talk about some of the key features of the software and how it's going to, again, help you streamline some of the things that you're currently doing with QuickBooks. Now, one of the great things about our software is that you don't have to learn a new system. So if you're already familiar with the basic QuickBooks workflow, then you're literally going to be able to pick up how to use our software in about 5 or 10 minutes. It's that straightforward. We intentionally designed the software to follow the existing QuickBooks workflow. So again, you don't have to learn something new. You don't have to worry about training your staff on a bunch of new procedures. It should be very straightforward for them. My understanding in talking to Ken and Tom briefly about your industry is that a great deal of it operates on recurring charges where you have an ongoing relationship with your customers. And in addition, you also have individual charges. on top of the recurring monthly charges. So we're going to give a sample of each one of those. We'll show you exactly how it works within QuickBooks and some of the specific feature benefits that the software is going to add on top of the functionality that you get from QuickBooks to begin with. So let's go ahead and begin by just doing a basic transaction. So the first transaction we're going to do is a single, one-off type transaction. After that, we'll move into the recurring. We're going to begin by creating an invoice. So again, we're going to follow the normal QuickBooks workflow. We're not going to do anything different. I'm going to begin by just creating the invoice here for Danny. We're working with a sample toy company today. But again, regardless of what products or services that you're selling, the workflow is going to be the same. So we're going to create an invoice, and we're going to come down and save and close the invoice. So the invoice at this point has been created. It's inside QuickBooks. The next step we're going to do is we're going to follow the path over here, and we're going to receive a payment within QuickBooks for that particular invoice. So again, the normal QuickBooks workflow, I'm going to select Danny. Here's the invoice that we have just selected. So I'm going to go ahead and choose it to process a charge. I'm going to go ahead and choose a payment method. Now in this case, in the past, Danny has used a Visa, which we'll go ahead and use that again. But again, we're just going to choose a payment method and then come down and we're going to hit save and close. So what's going to happen at that point is, and this is one of the nice features of our software, is it works seamlessly directly within QuickBooks. Unlike other payment applications that are out there, you don't need a separate terminal. You don't have to log into a separate application. There's nothing outside of QuickBooks that you're going to have to do. So the payment window itself will pop up automatically. Again, no extra steps. And what I'm going to try and do here is show you some of the specific advantages that our software offers versus other payment applications that are out there. Now, for the companies that are already using QuickBooks, I'm sure that you've heard that QuickBooks has their own credit card processing service. And what's offered through Skye Bank, I think, is in our software is going to offer some substantial advantages. So we're going to talk a little bit about the way QuickBooks functions with its credit card processor and just kind of credit card processing programs in general versus the way that our software operates. So let me try and give you somewhat of a side-by-side comparison here so you can actually see it. On the left-hand side, we actually have the customer list within QuickBooks. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to double-click on a customer. And within QuickBooks, there's a tab, depending upon the version that you're using, that's either called Payment Settings or Payment Info. And this is really one of the critical differences between the way our software operates and the way that virtually every other payment processing software operates. You'll notice that within the Payment Settings tab, you'll see that if somebody was using the QuickBooks credit card processing service, they actually store live credit card information right inside their QuickBooks file. So this is something that we think is, quite honestly, is a really bad idea. In today's environment, it's very risky for businesses to be storing or having to re-enter people's credit card data. In fact, I'm sure many of you have heard just within the past couple of weeks that there were several major credit card breaches. Those are really unfortunate because, A, not only does it destroy a customer's confidence in your business if you let their sensitive data get out, but it's also, it can be financially devastating for a business. If you allow a data breach to happen and somebody gets a hold of your customer's credit card or payment data, that can create very significant liability for your company. So this is one of the reasons why we want to avoid this type of approach. Now, the programs that store credit card data, generally speaking, have different methods of encryption. Some of them shield part of the credit card number, some of them exit out. I mean, there's all different types and methods of encryption. And again, I'll just shorten it and say that we're not a fan of that approach either. The reason being is because any application that's storing credit card data with their method of encryption, at some point that encryption is going to get challenged. And I will tell you, based upon the experience that we've seen, is that the hackers and the criminals who are trying to break into your office network or get into your QuickBooks file, they always seem to be quite a few steps ahead of the security people. That's why credit card numbers get hacked and that data gets out. So that's, again, one of the specific reasons we really don't believe in storing people's credit card data, because there's always seems to be some way to either get at it or to beat the method of security or encryption that they have. What our company has designed is something actually very different. It's a technology that we call PayGuard. So this is a patent-pending technology that's unique to our company. We designed PayGuard from the ground up, and our concept was we wanted to make it a simple, seamless, and secure method of processing payment transactions for you to help you reduce the liability and to streamline what you do in your office when it comes to payment processing. So briefly, let me just give you a little bit of description about PayGuard. What I'm circling right here is actually what we call a PayGuard code. Now, you'll notice that this is right out in the open. So if somebody opened up Quickbooks and got into this customer record, they would have no problem seeing this. And that's okay, because this is all non-sensitive data. That's one of the main differences between our approach and applications that store or retain credit card information. If somebody sees this or writes it down, it's okay. You're not going to create a data breach that way. If a hacker got into this network and got a hold of this, there's nothing that they can do to decrypt this or convert this into a customer's payment data simply because there is no underlying credit card data. So again, that's why we can display it out in the open, and it's so much more secure in our opinion than any other type of payment processing solution. The way that you actually read a PayGuard code is you look at the last 4 characters. This actually identifies the card type in the account. So the letter is the card type, A for American Express, ending in 456. This is a Discover card ending in 101. Now the reason that's important is because, again, we don't store live credit card numbers. We store non-sensitive PayGuard codes that allow you to process ongoing transactions with your customers. So once you run an initial charge with a customer, there's no need to have to re-enter or store people's payment data. We use PayGuard codes in lieu of credit card numbers. And again, the advantage being that you don't store live credit card data. And so one of the things that I'm sure Tom will probably talk about is, from a compliance standpoint, it makes a huge difference in the amount of compliance that you have to do when it comes to credit card processing. One of the first questions that you'll get asked is typically, do you store credit card information? And when your company utilizes our software, you can honestly say no, you don't. And so again, it significantly reduces the compliance and the liability that you've got to go through because you're not storing live credit card data anymore. So back to the payment form itself. When it pops up, it's actually going to show you if there is an existing PayGuard code available for that particular customer, and if so, what the last account that was used was. So again, in this case, it was a Discover card ending in 101. Now, one of the other specific advantages that we offer versus other solutions is that we offer multiple payment accounts per customer. So how this applies to you is that oftentimes companies will, say in this case, they have a Discover card. And let's say that for whatever reason, maybe the customer maxed it out, or it's not a good account anymore, it won't go through. We offer the ability to have up to 10 different payment accounts that you can choose from per customer. And so the way that you access those is you click on the Secure PayGuard icon. So you can actually see a list, again, of those payment accounts per customer. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and move to the American Express. Now, one other advantage that I do want to talk to you about is that you'll probably notice all these different colors that we have. This is another feature that's really popular with our users, in that we actually try and save you money on your credit card fees by doing an automatic expiration date check on the account. So again, unlike other solutions that are out there, they may store the expiration date, but they don't tell you in advance if it's actually an expired account. The reason being is it's a great deal for them. The more they can get you to submit credit card transactions, the more they charge you. It doesn't matter if it's a decline or an approval. There's a base charge that you're going to incur each time you submit a credit card transaction. So that's why we do this. And the color coding is really, it works just like a stoplight. So again, green is good. That means the account is still active. Yellow is also good, but it's going to expire within 6 days. And of course, a red background is bad. That's an expired account that you don't want to use. So we're going to go ahead and select and change to the American Express. And you'll notice that it's now changed up here in the PayGuard. All we have to do at this point is just check the box. and that's it. You'll notice how all the fields have grayed out, so we don't have to manually re-enter any credit card data, so it provides a much safer environment for you. Then the next step is we're going to go down and we're actually going to hit the charge button. And this brings us to the next advantage that our software offers. So one of the things, again, related to security when you talk about payment applications is you want to make sure that you've got a very secure environment. And as much as we love QuickBooks, again, our company is based around QuickBooks, there are some specific things related to their security that we think they could have been a little more diligent about. And one of those in particular is at the user level security. So one common security complaint that we hear about QuickBooks is that there's no timeout feature. And what I mean by that is that let's say that, for example, you're the main financial person in your company, and you come in the morning and you turn on your computer and you log into QuickBooks. And being the main financial person, you have access to credit card data that's inside QuickBooks. So let's say, for example, that you then decide to go leave to get a cup of coffee, or you go to lunch, or for whatever reason you step out of your office. QuickBooks has no timeout feature, so as soon as you leave your office, somebody could walk in right behind you, and under your credentials, again, because there's no timeout feature, they could access sensitive information, they could run fraudulent charges, and there's really no accurate way for that to be stopped or monitored. With our software, we actually do. So there's a user, each person is signed in as a user, and we track the user. And each user is assigned a short 3-digit PIN number. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to prevent somebody from hijacking your credentials. So again, if you have multiple people in your office that are, wanting to process credit cards, they actually have their own unique PIN number, and it helps prevent that. The other thing that's very helpful about it is that if there's ever a question about, who ran what charge, who did what when within the system, we actually produce real-time security reports that PIN number links a specific user to a specific activity. So if there was ever a question about what was going on with a particular transaction, you could actually go look at that. The results themselves show up in bright green. Again, we're really big on color coding. That means that it's approved. If there had been a problem with the transaction, this would actually show up in bright red. Now, one of the other really nice features about our software is that, working with Skye Bank, if you get a charge and you submit it, and let's say it comes back as declined, if the processor provides a reason for the decline, insufficient funds, invalid card number, something like that, we actually report that so that you know why you got the decline, which obviously can help you resolve the problem. Many other applications that are out there don't do that. They just say declined, and you really have no reason as to why you got the decline. So that's something that, again, if the processor is able to provide that information, we do report it to you. Down here at the bottom, you'll notice we have the address verification results. So again, that's also included with our software. It shows you whether or not the zip code and the address were a match. Now, one other nice feature about our software on this page before we move on is that we actually have a email receipt feature. This, again, is a very popular function. For those of you that are currently using QuickBooks, whenever you create a customer record within QuickBooks, if you store the email address for your customer within QuickBooks, our software will actually automatically grab that, and it'll put it in this email address field. You then have the option, if you would like, you can check this box, and we would do this before we hit the charge button, but we would check it and then hit charge. If the charge is successful and it's approved, like it was in this case, our software would actually automatically email out a summary receipt to your customer. So it'll basically show name, date, amount, invoice number, and if you put a brief description like monthly security fee, it will include that too. So again, that's one of the specific features that our software offers to help streamline your payment processing and reduce your workflow. There's no need to have to go back and manually send out a separate receipt to all your customers. You can do that all in one step. Now, just before we move on, a couple of other quick items on this. We do have the ability to support swipe transactions, and keyed transactions. So again, this particular charge we processed using PayGuard, but if you didn't want to use PayGuard, you could always manually key in credit card information, or if we had a card reader hooked up, which you can see by the big red X on this particular machine, we don't. If we did, this would show a big green check mark. So if you had a customer coming into your office and they gave you a credit card and you wanted to swipe that, our software certainly supports that. You could swipe and it would populate the fields, and then you just hit charge. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. That handles the basics of running a single sale. What we'll move into now is actually what we call a batch sale, or I think what your industry refers to is recurring monthly revenue or charges. So we'll go ahead and show you how that works. And again, we're going to go right back to the basic QuickBooks features. So again, keep in mind the whole basis of our software is we want you to be able to integrate your workflow seamlessly into QuickBooks and not have to do work outside of it where you're accessing a lot of outside applications. So again, we're going to create an invoice, and I'm actually going to create two invoices here. We're going to do two different customers, and this will help you get an idea as to how it works for your recurring billing. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this. We're going to create an invoice for another customer. We'll create one for Danny here. Now, before we actually get in and show the charges, I want to give you a little bit of technical information. What happens is when our software is installed, it actually adds a custom field onto the screen view only of your invoices. So again, this is not anything that your clients would see. This is used internally by our software, and this is a way that we can segregate your recurring billing from your regular customers. And I'll show you actually how that works in the batch sale process. So one of the other things that a lot of companies do with QuickBooks is there is functionality within QuickBooks that's called a memorized transaction. Basically, it's a very simple process where that you can create an invoice one time. So again, let's say that you had a recurring customer, or 500 or 1,000 or whatever the number is. You can create an invoice for that particular customer one time and set it up so that QuickBooks will actually remember that invoice, and QuickBooks can then be told, again, one time only, during setup, you can say, look, I want you to recreate this invoice on the first of every month, for the next 6 months or for the next 2 years or whatever time period that you want. So QuickBooks will actually automatically create that invoice. So again, you don't have to do any manual steps yourself. Our software then has the ability to find those invoices for you, and you can process them all from a single screen view. So I'll show you how we do that. Under the customer pull-down menu, when our software is installed, it actually adds a menu item right inside of QuickBooks. So we're going to go to what we call the batch sale. And again, the basic premise behind this is for processing large numbers of open invoices or recurring transactions. It can work with both. Specifically, you may have, again, memorized transactions, and again, you could have 2, you could have 2,000. The number really doesn't matter. Our software can find those memorized transactions from within QuickBooks. It also has the ability to find individual transactions in addition to those memorized transactions. So again, specifically, if you had a group of recurring customers that have like a basic monthly fee, but let's say that they decide to purchase some new alarm equipment or purchase an additional service on top of their regular monthly monitoring fee. Our software can also find those one-off invoices and put everything together on a single screen view for you. The way we do that is we kind of generically refer to everything from your repeat customers that you have an ongoing relationship with as a recurring invoice. And then all we have to do is really just tell our software, are we going to search for a date, like a particular processing date, like if companies do their billing on the 1st of the month or the 15th, we can search by a date range, or we can also search by an invoice number range. Most companies search by a date range, so again, it could be the 1st, the 15th, the end of the day, the end of the week, whatever time period you want, you can put in here, and then we're just going to hit the search button. So what will happen is our software, again, on a single screen view, will actually put everything together for you so that you have the opportunity to look at it. Now, again, this is one of the differences between what our software does and other applications. There are, lots of applications out there that have fully automated, automatic monthly billing. And I will tell you that over the years, the reason we came up with the approach that we have is it's based on specific feedback from companies that actually do a great deal of recurring billing. Those fully automated systems are really nice when they work. They're not so good, unfortunately, when you have a problem. And some of the common complaints that we heard over the years was that, customers may drop off. They may change the level of their service. They want to pause their service. Maybe they're due some type of discount or credit. If you have a fully automated system, it becomes very difficult to manage that in many cases, because you've got to remember to go in and say, oh gosh, Bob needed to pause his service this month, and Danny's due a $15 credit, because of some overcharge or some issue for last month. So it becomes a hassle to constantly keep up with that in an outside billing system. What we do with our software is we actually find the invoices, put everything together on a single screen view, and we give you the opportunity to look at it and make sure it's correct. Now, if everything's correct, if there are no changes, we can just move right into processing. We don't have to do anything different. However, if there is something that needs to be changed, so let's say, for example, that actually Bob, there was an issue with his invoice. We've built hyperlinks right back into the invoice, so you can come in real time and you can fix billing problems before you create a mistake and end up with an upset client. So let's say that Bob actually made an additional purchase in addition to his regular monthly purchase, and we'll put it on the invoice and correct it. And again, it could be a discount, a credit, whatever the case may be. You can make those changes in real time. And then all we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to refresh. So you can see now how we have the opportunity to make sure that our billing is correct. And again, we don't end up with a lot of upset customers that have been charged incorrectly. Now, one other nice feature is we often have companies that actually will just do a partial billing, like maybe today they just want to run certain invoices. So you can actually, with our software, pick and choose individual invoices if you would like to process those, or you can select all and you can, again, choose all of the invoices. You can see how helpful the PayGuard column is. It shows you if there's an existing account, and again, the colored background indicates if it's a valid account. So it could be green or yellow or red. Now, one of the other nice things about PayGuard, and we'll talk about this here just quickly before we run the charge, is that you'll notice that this top PayGuard code looks a little bit different than the others. So you know that the first letter indicates the card type, A for American Express, D for Discover, M for MasterCard, things like that. This one actually starts with an E. So this is what we call an Echeck. And again, this is a really popular feature of our software. One of the things that Skye can help you with is set you up with a Echeck Processing account, or some people might refer to it as an ACH account. It's basically where you use a customer's banking information, their checking account and routing number, instead of a credit card. The advantage to this is that many companies typically find that it's substantially cheaper than just running credit cards. So this is something that our software seamlessly integrates. Again, Skye will set up the account for you, and the functionality to actually process those types of transactions is already built into our software. And so what it does is that, again, this stands for an Echeck account ending in 567. So with our software, you can actually mix and match between credit card and checking account type transactions. So now that we've selected our transactions, we're going to go ahead and we're going to process with PayGuard. And again, we do have an email receipt option that we could choose. Now, as soon as I check the process with PayGuard, you probably noticed that there's actually a new column that popped up. So again, this is another nice feature that our software offers. Let's say, for example, that Danny had multiple invoices. Again, another common issue with fully automated systems is that you set them up and then you basically have to leave it alone. But it's very common for customers to have multiple invoices. So if Danny had his regular monthly security fee and then again he made some additional purchases, he may want to use a different payment account for a particular invoice. With our software, we actually support that. So by invoice, we can actually come in and we can assign a specific payment account to a particular invoice. So if Danny had 3 different invoices here, he could literally have 3 different payment accounts that are going to be used, a different one for each invoice. So again, this is functionality that's not available in QuickBooks or other systems that we find to be very helpful for our merchants that are using it. So once we've selected the payment method, we're just going to come down here. We're going to hit the charge button, and then even though I have multiple transactions, I only have to put my PIN number in one time. So again, I might have 500 transactions or 1,000. I only have to put the PIN number in one time. So what's going to happen at this point is our software will connect into QuickBooks. It'll get the invoices, it's going to organize them, and it's going to submit them out for processing. As soon as it gets a result, it'll come back into QuickBooks and automatically update your accounting records. And this is typically a pretty significant feature because, again, a lot of payment applications that are out there, they force you to go to outside websites, and then you've got to download some type of file and try and import it, or you've got to make manual adjustments or updates. And it really begins to become a bookkeeping and administrative nightmare because you've got to redo all of this work to get it from your billing system into QuickBooks. And again, the whole premise of our software is we want to streamline what you're doing, and we want to centralize it within QuickBooks so all your records are in one place and it's seamlessly and automatically updated.
Scott, let me just break in a second. It's Ken,
sure.
Because we have a question, and it is, does the software also allow you to process bank accounts or just credit cards?
No. So it does allow you to, we call it an Echeck. So that's actually this first transaction that we ran right here. This is an ACH or an Echeck transaction using a customer's checking account and routing number. And again, I can't emphasize enough, one of the very specific complaints about other payment solutions that are out there is that, you could go to your bank and do an ACH transaction, or you could use some other type of payment service for ACH transactions, but they don't integrate seamlessly with QuickBooks. Ours does. So for example, if we go back into QuickBooks and we actually look at those transactions, so we go here to Danny, for example, you can see that his invoice for his yo-yo has been correctly updated as paid in real time, and we've also created a payment receipt for it. And what's nice about the payment receipt is we actually stamp the PayGuard code on here. The reason we do that is that it allows you to actually tell what account was used. So if a customer calls in and says, look, I know you processed payment for invoice 1720, but what account did you use? You can say, well, it was an American Express ending in 456. Same thing with Echeck account. So it works exactly the same way.
Scott, I'm going to jump in here. Can everybody hear me on the call? This is Tom with Skye Bank.
Go ahead,
Tom, I can hear you.
Great. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I feel like I'm in a T-Mobile commercial saying, can you hear me now, for the last half hour. But yeah, and something to comment here with the Echeck solution is that this solution across the board is a lot less expensive than processing with credit card accounts. Whereas with a credit card system, the banks charge a percentage rate. With electronic checks, it's just a simple transaction fee. And so one of the things that we've been very successful in doing, leveraging the FISOFT software, is being able to migrate some of those RMR payments from those customers that are using your debit cards and rewards cards, being able to migrate those over to the electronic check transactions, which in turn reduces your overall cost for processing those transactions. And so I thought that was an important aside. And
Tom and Scott, we're well into this webinar time frame, and we do have Mitch at the end. Tom, Scott, are you almost ready to let Scott put on Tom put on his webinar?
Absolutely. If you give me one more minute, I'll be wrapped up, and we'll turn it over. Okay, very good. So the last feature that I'll show you is actually a refund or a void. So again, we can just go right to the FISOFT menu item. We'll go to refund or void. And again, the process is the same, seamlessly processing refunds and voids directly within QuickBooks. You can choose the appropriate type of transaction you want to run, either a refund or a void. A refund is for a transaction that's already been batched out and settled. A void is something that's still on today's business that hasn't been batched out yet, so we'll just select void and see if we've got some transactions that are available to void. There we go. So our software, again, will automatically find that for you. There's no reason to have to download or import. We'll select it, and we're going to hit void. I'll put my PIN number in, and then our software will get into QuickBooks. It will correctly void that payment and open up the invoice in QuickBooks. And again, it's done automatically for you. The last thing as I wrap up here, just to give you a little final administrative information about the software is we actually, once you sign up with Skye Bank, we will remotely install the software for you. So again, we try and make it as easy as possible. You don't have to worry about, setting up or configuring the software. We take care of all of that. And then we also provide free, unlimited technical support for our software. So if you ever have questions about how it works or, how to use it, we can certainly assist you with that. Ken, that actually wraps up my portion of the presentation. If you'd like to
Scott,
turn it over now.
Before I let you off the hook, Scott, I got a couple of questions that they sent in,
okay.
And I'll see if I can give them to you, and we'll just do them quickly. Is it possible to process field charges? That's one question. And another question.
I'm sorry. What type of charges?
Field. I guess that's a charge that their salesman is out there, or a repair guy is out there and wants to charge a customer on site. I guess that's what that means.
It depends on how your network is set up. A lot of times what we have is companies that have technicians that go out and they have a laptop with a wireless, or they have some type of device that has internet connectivity out in the field. And if there's various ways that are pretty straightforward to set up remote access for your QuickBooks file in your office, either through just a regular desktop or through a server. Like if you have a business server, you can set it up so you can remote in and actually run the charges on that system in your office. So in that environment, we can absolutely do that. And if you have specific questions or would like to talk about that in more detail, I'd be happy to do that offline. You can give us a call.
What about the version of QuickBooks? Somebody is using Pro 211. Does that work with your software?
Absolutely. So on the version, we're looking for a Windows version of QuickBooks, which is 99% of what's out there. And we support everything clear back to 2006 to current. So any version of QuickBooks Pro, Premier, or Enterprise, it's a Windows version of QuickBooks that is 2006 or newer up to current, we absolutely support.
Somebody else wants to know whether you need a voided check to establish an ACH Echeck processing.
Good question. No, you don't have to have a voided check. As long as they can provide you one time with a checking account and routing number, you'll run that initial transaction. And again, just like with a credit card, once you put that initial checking account and routing number on the payment form, as soon as the payment is processed, we wipe that information so we don't store checking account and routing number. Instead, we create and store a PayGuard code that you would use going forward.
Here's the last question, and the best one for you is, what's the cost of the Pci soft programming and services and add-ons, etc.? And one of the good, I guess the best thing that they're going to hear at the moment is that if you sign up for Skye Bank Financial, it's going to be free, or a lot of it's going to be free. And I guess Tom's going to cover some of that.
Yeah, I think Tom's going to have some really good news when it comes to our software and how it's priced. I don't want to steal his thunder, but we'll let him cover that. And as far as our company's products and services are concerned, if you want to give us a call right here, it's a toll-free number. Depending upon what you need, I mean, we can give you specific pricing if you need software, hardware, if you need.
We're gonna stick you on the alarm exchange, so they're gonna have access to you all the time. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Be happy to give you that information if you want to call us directly.
I'm happy to post it if you do. One last question: does your software work on a Mac?
It depends, is the short answer. If it's Mac only, no. If it can also run Windows, because a lot of Macs run it in parallel. So if you have a Mac running Windows and you have a Windows version of QuickBooks, then yes, we can support it.
Are you PCI compliant?
Oh, great question. So
and what is that?
Okay, and again, I'm probably going to defer to Tom on this because this is his area of expertise. But PCI compliance is basically, in a real simplified form, it's making sure that you have a secure environment to process credit card or payment transactions in. So it's not a one-step process. There's lots of things that you have to look at, like your workflow and your network and the software you use, things like that. So we actually have a very critical part in that, and our software is what's called PADSS compliant, which means it's a payment application that has been certified as secure, and we're posted on the website where, from the PCI Security Council. So they recognize our software as being secure. So the software itself is secure, and Tom will get into or can field questions about some of the specific things that you need to do in addition, like, do you have passwords? Do you have a firewall? Just basic things like that you also need to have in place.
We're going to turn this over to Tom now. Tom, are you finally?
I'm here and I'm ready, and I apologize for the technical difficulties. All great questions.
Tom, you're at bat, but you got to talk fast because I don't want Mitch yelling at me. I know he wants to make some presentation, which is fine. So
sure, and Scott did a great job of covering the software itself, and so he's really taken a lot of the burden off of me, and I can identify or answer some of the questions that came up. Just a little bit about Skye Bank Financial. We're a top 10 payments provider for the alarm industry, servicing over $125 million a year in total payments for alarm dealers and central stations. It's one of our core niches. It's where we spend 80% of our time working with, so we're able to interact with alarm dealers and have a conversation with them much different than they would experience with other payment processors. Through this program, and one of the things that has been imposed on us largely in part of because of our relationship with the Alarm Exchange, is we've developed a group program similar to the way that you would think of group medical insurance. We've developed a group credit card processing program specifically for all members of the Alarm Exchange, in which we're able to leverage the network and the size of the entire network so as to be able to deliver lower pricing than an account that would come to us individually on its own. Through this program, one of the things that we're doing here with the PhiSoft software is for a limited time we're going to be offering all installs and the first year's license fee at no cost. It's a $500 retail value that includes setup for the credit card processing account as well as the ACH account, and then, of course, the integration with the PhiSoft application as well as the installation on your local PC. That, again, comes at a $500 cost to us, which we're going to be waiving for all members of the Alarm Exchange. And annual license renewals, the first year, again, is on us. Annual license renewals moving forward is simply $200 a year. So you get access to all of the software, you get access to all the benefits of the secure processing for $200 a year after the first year of service. One of the questions that was asked was about field charges, and that's something that we do have the ability to support through this integration. The PhiSoft software connects to our payment portal, which has the ability to give access to the mobile solutions for processing through an iPad or an Android phone or an iPhone, and that's something that we can provide access to for the field services and the service calls as well. Another question that was asked was about the need of a voided check. As Scott mentioned, once we enter that information into the system, that's stored, and you don't need to have that information for subsequent payments. In addition to that, we have pre-approved auth forms which piggyback along Ken's contracts that we provide to all of our customers, which give you the authority to pull transactions not only from a customer's bank account, but also from a credit card account. And we use those and provide those out to you so that way you have the information in the event of a customer dispute. One of the services that Skye Banks provides is a free chargeback resolution department. So we provide you the information that you need to retain from your customer. In the event of a dispute, we're able to fight those chargebacks on your behalf we handle all of the communication between the various networks and ensure that a customer can't issue a dispute, and thus, you'd be losing money on those transactions.
Tom, one of the questions that just came in is they want to know what the fee for the credit card charges are.
Right. So since we're in a card not present environment, and for the most part aren't going to be swiping the cards for the RMR transactions, we have a discount rate of 1.99% for all credit card transactions, and we actually provide a pass-through pricing for the debit card transactions, and we're able to do this through a legislation that was passed back in 2011 to give you a debit card rate of 0.89%. And that's without the need of a PIN pad, as you may expect, going to your local grocery store. In order to get that debit rate would require a PIN number. We have a program that allows us to give you access to those PIN debit rates using the FISOFT Merchant Edition software. The total cost for our program is $25 a month. That includes the credit card processing account, as well as the back-end connectivity software that's required to connect the financial network to the FISOFT program. Again, the software itself, we're going to be waiving the setup and installation fees as well as the first annual license. If you'd like to also accept ACH transactions, there's an additional $15 monthly fee, bringing your total exposure to $40 a month. Again, the benefit of doing the ACH transactions is that those become a lot less expensive than the credit card processing. So we can, as you call in and speak with one of our representatives, we can run numbers for you to determine what that critical threshold is as to how many consumers you would need using ACH to make it a viable solution from a return on investment standpoint.
One question, does the rate you mentioned include American Express, which I hate to take, but they have higher rates, I assume?
No, it doesn't. American Express charges their own rates and fees. The difference between Visa and MasterCard and American Express is that in Visa and MasterCard, it's a bi-party system. There's an issuing bank and an acquiring bank. And one of the reasons why everybody doesn't like American Express, or at least from a merchant standpoint, they're not fond of American Express, is because American Express owns both ends of the transactions. They are the issuer and the acquirer. So through that, they're able to set their own rates. They do what they do, and it is what it is. They actually provide a chart to all payment processors in the United States saying if this is an alarm dealer, this is the rate that you pay. One of the interesting things that we can do with American Express, however, is what's called front-end acquiring. So we're able to eliminate the monthly fees for accepting American Express and also run those transactions in the same deposit as your Visa and MasterCard transactions. So from a cash flow standpoint, we're able to set the system up where if you batch out the system by 7 o'clock p.m., the money is in your account the following morning by 7 a.m., and that's for all 4 card brands. So that's Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover, where American Express was traditionally a 72-hour funding time frame. We're able to fund those in the account, although the price is the same. We're able to fund those in the account within 12 hours to help with cash flow.
Tom, are you giving prices for qualified accounts or non-qualified transactions?
Those are for key entered qualified transactions. In the payment processing world, and I could sit here for the next 2 hours and try to explain every fee associated with well, it would take me 2 hours to try to explain every fee associated with the account. The rates I'm explaining there are for your traditional credit cards that are key entered through the system, as well as for the debit card transactions that are run. Higher cost cards, such as rewards cards and business cards and purchasing cards, bear a higher rate from the bank and thus are assessed a surcharge from the bank, which can range anywhere from 10 basis points up to 90 basis points, or rather 99 basis points, 1%. So what we tend to look at is what's called effective rate. And when we look at our alarm dealer portfolio, again, extensive portfolio processing over $125 million a year, The average effective rate, and so this is all things being considered, what's coming out of your bank account at the end of the month, which includes the cost for the service itself, the $10 or the $25 to maintain the program. The total effective rate, and again it depends on the demographic of the consumer where you are in the country, is going to be anywhere between 2.5% and 2.75%. And that's an all-in figure, rate equals fees divided by volume.
A question here is, do they need to pay the $25 a month if all they're using it for is ACH monthly?
No. If all they're using it is for ACH monthly, then that fee is $30 a month.
Okay. And he said, another one says, I found that the high rewards Visa, MasterCard can be 3+%. Who doesn't use high reward cards these days?
Right. So one of the things that we will do for every person on this call is we will do a very comprehensive side-by-side fee analysis for your current processor and what the program that we've developed for the alarm exchange would be. We have a lowest rate.
You're going to guarantee to beat their price, right?
Well, not only do we guarantee to beat their price, but we also have a lifetime lowest rate guarantee. So for us, and to I'm sure most of the people on the call, the biggest question that everybody has is revolving around price. For us, price is a non-issue. We are a direct payment processor, and so we will never have an issue maintaining account because of price. The bigger concern that we have, and myself and Scott, is how to position an alarm company to reduce opportunity costs associated with running the RMR payments and also the field and service calls. And that's where we excel. I
think ease of program, the use of the program is really the most important thing. I know that we take credit cards all day long from the alarm industry, so we're not an alarm company charging subscribers. We're charging the alarm industry all day long. And ease of transaction and getting it through and is the best part for us. They want to know, how long does it take to fund an ACH transaction?
That's a great question. So ACH doesn't run through the Visa and MasterCard network. The way that I think of ACH, or the way that I think of these networks, I think of them as railroad tracks. And so Visa and MasterCard is a railroad track to the cardholder's issuing bank. With an ACH transaction, the best way that I can try to paint the picture is think about the movie Catch Me If You Can, where if you have a check issued in California to a bank that's depositing in Florida, where I am as an example, it takes a little while for that transaction to move through the financial network. So the answer that I'm going to give to that question is anywhere from 3 to 5 days, depending on the time frame when that transaction is run. The cutoff time is 12 p.m. Eastern time. So if that transaction is run before that time frame, you'll move it closer to the 3-day funding. If it's after that time frame, it'll move closer to the 4 or 5-day funding. But we provide reports back, and one of the nice features of FiSoft is that the response codes from that, where the status of that transaction is, whether it's being originated, settled, or funded, is fed back through the system, so you can track those that status in FiSoft.
All right, Tom, thanks. We're going to move over to Mitch in just 1 second after I give you a little plug. You guys can reach Tom. He's on the Alarm Exchange under the financial category, and you get his contact information online or telephone number. And as some of you may know, we're getting a little rough on the Alarm Exchange. If vendors there don't give the best service possible to the alarm industry, we've been kicking them off the Alarm Exchange. So.
And Eileen, what you can do there is the last slide of the presentation that we had has a link for anybody that wants to have any more information or schedule a demo with Scott to see the software again in more detail. Feel free to put your information on that link. That'll come to our office. We'd be happy to provide that side-by-side analysis for you, explain the program in more detail, answer any questions that you may have, and connect you with Scott in any way that we may need to.
Okay, thanks, Tom. And we are recording this, and we are going to allow you to watch it again or have other people watch it. Believe it or not, this was our most popular webinar. We're sold out. We kept getting notices, people trying to get in, they weren't able to. So we did record it, and we will show it again shortly. Right now I'm going to mute Tom, and I'm going to unmute Mitch, and hopefully he's still awake. Mitch, you there?
Hi, Ken. I'm still awake, and I've got great news. I'm going to be incredibly brief. And
well, you're at bat, buddy. You're at bat, so don't be too brief. I want everyone to use your services.
Go to my next slide. We're SIC Consulting. We've been around since 2001. We specialize in the security industry. We have no clients that are not security or integration companies. And what we specialize in doing is helping alarm company owners that are very good at what they do but never signed on to be a bookkeeper supervise their bookkeepers and accountants. And a big part of our business is general bookkeeping. 85% of our clients, and probably 85 to 90% of the industry, uses Quickbooks. And so helping you use your Quickbooks and helping you run your company with Quickbooks is very critical to us. And I can say, listening to this presentation, what these people are doing is helping you use Quickbooks to run your company better and to bill your customers and handle your biggest part of your company billing better. One thing I really like about these systems is they're auto-reconciling, which means the amount of time that your personnel spend reconciling these payments you're taking in with the deposits coming in your bank account is greatly reduced because it's being handled by the software. The other thing you have that you don't have with a typical merchant account is a contact with these people where if you do have a problem with a transaction or you do have an issue, you have a human being that's linked into the alarm exchange and is dependent on this business to help you resolve that. A lot of companies have had issues with merchant accounts. They suddenly find out that they're one person up against a huge bureaucracy and can't get things done. Dealing with people in the alarm exchange is good because they want to help you and they want to service you, and they've got what Ken just told you about. He kicks people out of the alarm exchange who don't take care of the security industry. So that's very important. The data security aspect of this is very important. Not having to store information in your company and not having to keep track of this stuff is very critical because you're not doing a one-off transaction with these customers. You count on these customers to be in your system for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. You have recurring revenue coming from those customers, and you count on them being able to trust you month after month to run those transactions in a secured environment. And the speed of the transaction. I'm hearing that they're settling these credit card transactions the next day. That's becoming a large problem for my clients, with some of these providers taking up to 3 to 5 days to settle a credit card transaction, and that can cause huge cash flow issues if you have to wait that long. If you go to the next slide, I just want to go through a little bit what we do and why this helps you. Is most of the industry has basic financial capabilities. You have a bookkeeper that gets through billing the customers and paying the bills and not much else. What we want alarm companies to do is to reconcile these transactions and have adequate supervision of these people so we can make sure things are done accurately and done right. And so this software helps you get there, and we can help you get there. The next slide. What we like to do is move most of our clients to the next level, which is intermediate, where you have a full-charge bookkeeper or an accountant that reconciles your accounts monthly and gets you a balance sheet and an income statement monthly. Get some segregation of function. It's great to have us looking over somebody's shoulder to make sure that things are being done right. To have internal control, have industry-specific computer systems. In this case, the Quickbooks with the additional reporting and additional processing on it is a great asset. You'll help you with data backup and offsite storage and RMR and attrition reporting. What we like to do is move people to the next level. If you're already there, let's look at the next slide. What we can help you move to is an advanced company with a controller, accrual basis financial statements, and a focus on your balance sheet and your cash flow, internal controls, and the rest of the stuff that's here on this slide. That's for probably 10% of the industry fits into that area. But as you get larger, as your customer base gets larger, you want to start focusing on some of these things. And again, the products that they're talking about here today help you do that. And then the last one we're going to kind of gloss over, that's a very small part of the industry. The last slide. That's superior. That's the larger companies and the larger things. We can help you get there too, and we can help you and advise you doing that. But bottom line is, this is a great product for almost the entire industry. It helps your cash flow, it helps your internal control, it helps your reconciliation, it helps your accuracy. And if you have any questions on how to get your accounting and your bookkeeping to the next level, be sure to call us.
Okay, I want to encourage you to understand that Mitch is the premier tax guy in this industry, and if you have questions, you should be contacting him. I get lots of emails on my daily email forum that I do send to Mitch in advance to try and get an answer from him. So I want to thank him for taking time out of his day and participating and encouraging everyone to contact him. And of course, Mitch is listed on the Alarm Exchange, and I expect him to stay on there. Right, Mitch?
Absolutely. And not only do we understand the rules and the laws, we understand what you do, and that's very, very critical when you're trying to navigate your alarm company through the maze of tax and accounting and bookkeeping issues.
Oh, okay. Let's see where we're gonna go here. And I want to thank you, Mitch. You're off the hook now. I just want to bring Tom back for a second. Tom, you still there?
I am.
Okay. And we had a question about whether your Skye Bank Financials processing works with other alarm company software besides QuickBooks.
Great question. And you know, I'm going to second what Mitch said there about you know, the understanding of the industry. I think that's one of the things that really sets us apart as a payment processor is we understand your business and we understand the individual needs of the business. We do have integrations and do support all of the major alarm company software applications, and we can actually make introductions if need be to key people at those organizations if you'd like to vet those systems out. But as an idea, we do have direct integrations to companies like Allcom, MicroKey, OnGuard, ProBill, and all the major alarm company software applications. So if you'd like to leverage the group program that's been created for the alarm industry, we can support that through those software applications as well. Okay,
great. Well, I think we've overextended our invitation, so to speak. We're on here for a little more than an hour. I want to thank our participants for attending and our panelists for presenting. I do want to let everyone know, before I let you go, that tomorrow you'll see another announcement for a webinar next Thursday, which is going to be focused on the residential and commercial all-in-one. And then right after that, the Thursday after that, you're going to see a webinar that's going to be on the fire all-in-one and the new fire suppression all-in-one, which is a brand new contract for you guys that are doing fire suppression. So I know that's a different crowd. You'll see the announcements for that starting tomorrow on the daily emails. And I want to thank everybody for participating. And we're going to be signing off at this point. Thanks again.